the Outdoor Survival Academy, Planet Doroth 9. The alien professor had a name that sounded like gravel sliding down a metal pipe. Most humans on the Interstellar Exchange program simply called him Professor Graff. He stood at the edge of the dense, frozen forest of Doroth 9, his six-fingered hands clasped behind his back, his gray-scaled face arranged in the permanent expression of mild disappointment that his species had apparently evolved over centuries. Behind him, 8 exchange students. 6 aliens of varying biology and 2 humans stood in a nervous line. "Tonight's assignment," Graff announced, his translator box clipping each word cleanly, "is shelter construction. No tools. No technology. No prefabricated materials. You will use only what the forest provides." He gestured broadly at the tree line. "Temperature tonight will reach -40. You have until dawn. Those who survive in adequate shelter pass. Those who do not," he paused, "will be very cold and very embarrassed." A tall, blue-skinned Valorian student named Sif immediately began secreting a natural resin from his forearms, his species' instinctive shelter response. 2 Merrick students quietly started burrowing into the soil. Everyone had a plan. Everyone except, apparently, the 2 humans. Graff stopped in front of them. Private First Class James Rutherford, a 28-year-old former wilderness survival instructor from rural Montana, and exchange cadet Priya Nair, a mechanical engineer from Bangalore. He studied them with thinly veiled skepticism. "You are aware," Graff said, "that your species has no natural insulation, no burrowing ability, and no resin production?" James nodded slowly. "Yes, sir." "And you understand no tools means no tools? No axes, no saws, no fire-starting devices?" "Understood, sir." Graff made a note on his data pad. "I expect you to last 4 hours before requesting emergency extraction." He turned and walked away. "Prove me wrong if you like." James looked at Priya. Priya looked at James. Then James looked at the forest, really looked at it, and smiled. "Come on," he said. "We've got work to do." The forest of Doroth 9, 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. The trees of Doroth 9 were enormous, thick-trunked, straight, and in the lower sections, already dead and dry from years of permafrost heave. James walked the tree line for 12 minutes before he found what he needed, a natural blowdown site where 4 massive trunks had fallen across each other, creating a natural frame. "We're not building from scratch," he told Priya. "We're finishing what the forest already started." He showed her how to read the deadfall, which logs were solid, which were punky and soft, which could be rolled without tools using lever physics and body weight. They used a thick branch wedged under a log and their combined weight to shift the heaviest pieces into position, notching the intersections using nothing but a sharp-edged rock James found near a dry creek bed. He showed Priya how to cut a notch not by hitting hard, but by scoring repeatedly at the same angle, patience over force. By midnight, the walls were knee-high. By 2 in the morning, they were shoulder-high, with a low-angled roof frame of interlocking branches laid across the top. They packed the gaps with dry moss, bark strips, and compacted snow on the outer wall, an insulating layer that would trap warm air inside. "No fire-starting devices," Priya said, eyeing the pile of dry birch bark they collected. "But he said nothing about friction." James grinned. He cut a small notch in a flat piece of dry deadwood, found a straight spindle branch, and showed Priya the bow drill technique. A looped vine strip pulled back and forth to spin the spindle until an ember formed in the notch. It took 22 minutes. Priya's arms burned, but the ember caught. By 4:30 a.m., a small fire crackled inside a stone ring pit in the center of the cabin floor, its smoke rising out of a gap James had deliberately left between 2 roof logs. The interior was warm enough that both of them had taken off their outer jackets. Dawn. Professor Grath arrived at first light with his data pad and 3 other faculty members, fully expecting to log a failed attempt. He stopped 20 feet from the cabin and stared. It was not elegant. The walls were rough, the roof uneven, the notches imperfect. But it stood solid. Smoke curled lazily from the roof. Through the low doorway, the warm orange glow of a fire was clearly visible. James stepped outside, coffee, brewed on a flat hearthstone, in hand. He held out a second cup toward Grath. "It's bark tea, technically," he said. "But it's hot." Grath looked at the cabin. He looked at the tea. He looked at his data pad, on which he had already pre-typed the extraction request. He slowly deleted it. "Rutherford," he said quietly, "what is your species classification for this skill set?" James shrugged. "We just call it camping, sir." Grath was silent for a long moment. Then he wrote 3 words on his data pad. Words that would later appear in the revised Interstellar Species Assessment Handbook. Humans, dangerously resourceful. By noon, 4 other alien students had quietly asked James to teach them how to make the fire.